My name is Ethan Miles. I'm 30 years old, and I just walked into my parents' backyard to 80 screaming kids, a fog machine pumping pink clouds, and a banner that said, Lily turned 6, a party I wasn't invited to. A goat butted my shin. A DJ yelled for confetti. My mother leaned in, smile lacquered, and whispered, "Consider it a gift," while the caterer slid another tray of cupcakes across my credit limit. I didn't argue. I unlocked my phone. 5 alerts stacked like dominoes, princess rentals, balloons, a DJ with wings. I put the call on speaker and watched her smile thin. They thought they were charging my card. They didn't know I keep better records than their guest list. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from, and hit like and subscribe if you've ever been the reliable one in your family, the fixer, the quiet wallet, the one who cleans up the mess and still gets blamed for making noise. Because this story, it's about what happens when the quiet one finally stops cleaning up. When I stopped paying the price for everyone else's version of love, things didn't just fall apart, they got loud. I grew up in a 2-story beige house on the edge of Seattle, where the rain never really stopped, and neither did my mother's voice. She used to say, "Family comes first," the way some people quote scripture as proof, not comfort. What she really meant was, family means you obey. At 7 years old, I was the kid who fixed the VCR while my little sister Chloe twirled in the living room in her sequined leotard. Mom would clap, eyes soft with adoration, while I sat cross-legged on the carpet trying to rewind a tape that had eaten itself. When I got it working again, Dad said, "That's my reliable boy." It wasn't praise. It was classification like labeling a storage bin. Reliable, functional, stackable. At the dinner table, Mom always plated Chloe's food first. "Dancers burn more calories," she'd say, sliding her the larger piece of chicken. I got what was left, and Dad would pass me the potatoes like a peace offering. We never fought about it, but some silences bruise deeper than words. One night, when I was 10, we had spaghetti, Chloe's favorite. She spilled her sauce, cried, and Mom gasped like it was blood. I handed her my napkin and got scolded for not being careful. The red stain on my sleeve didn't wash out for weeks, and every time I looked at it, it felt like proof of how easily I absorbed blame meant for someone else. In high school, I found my language in numbers. Numbers didn't play favorites. They didn't say one thing and mean another. When I brought home straight A's, Mom said, "Good, keep it up." When Chloe got an A- in art history, Mom cried tears of pride and posted about it online. That was when Facebook still felt like a family photo album. Not a scoreboard, but for Mom, it had always been that. At 17, I built my first spreadsheet to track college savings. I color-coded every deposit, every interest rate. Mom said, "You're so uptight. No wonder you don't have friends." Chloe overheard and laughed, phone light reflecting off her lip gloss. She'd just gone viral for a makeup tutorial using my lamp. It got 50,000 views. I paid the power bill. At Christmas that year, I gave Mom a framed family photo I'd restored from an old print, hours of editing, dust and scratches. She unwrapped it, smiled, and said, "Oh honey, next year just get a gift card." Chloe handed her a scarf she'd bought with my Amazon account and got a hug long enough to sting. In college, I majored in information systems. I liked clean logic inputs and outputs that made sense. I worked weekends at a diner, saved every dollar. Mom would call whenever something broke at home. "Wi-Fi? Printer? TV? Your sister has a shoot tomorrow," she'd say. "Can you fix it remotely?" I did, even when finals were hours away, because that was love in our house, not warmth, but utility. The first time I sent money home was sophomore year. Mom said the roof needed repairs. I wired $800. A month later, I saw Chloe's Instagram post. A new designer bag. Caption: "Treat yourself, you deserve it." The same night, Mom texted, "You're a blessing, Ethan." That word used to feel holy. Now it felt like a transaction code. After graduation, I moved into my 1-bedroom apartment. It smelled like fresh paint and possibility. The silence was so pure it scared me. Dad helped carry in a box, said, "Don't be a stranger," then left before the second trip. Mom stood in the doorway, scanning for flaws, and said, "It's cozy." Chloe FaceTimed halfway through, twirling Lily, who was a baby then. "Say hi to Uncle ATM," she joked. Everyone laughed. I didn't. Still, I sent money when daycare ran short, when Dad's truck needed tires, when Mom said, "Just until Friday." Friday never came. I logged every cent, not for proof, but for sanity. Ben Carter, my coworker, noticed me typing during lunch one day. "What's that?" "My sanity file," I said. He grinned. "Man, keep receipts. Families forget. Numbers don't." I didn't know it then, but that sentence would become my gospel. Around that time, Sophie came into my life, quiet laugh, sharp mind, the kind of person who notices when you're running on fumes. She loved that I listened, that I made her tea before she asked. But over time, she started saying things like, "You give too much away, Ethan. You leave nothing for yourself." When she finally left, she kissed my forehead and said, "You're kind, but kindness isn't supposed to hurt." I told her I understood. I didn't. 2 years later, I was making good money. Fintech pays well if you know where to find the leaks. I bought myself a single good thing, a leather couch, and Mom said it looked lonely. She suggested I buy something for the family instead. I said maybe next time. She went quiet for a week. Then came the emergency text. "Daycare fees doubled this month. Can you spot us until Friday?" The word spot sounded harmless, like a favor you forget to undo. I added it to the sheet. March 14, $312.17. April 2, $87.99. May 21, $1,200. My spreadsheet grew like ivy. I tried to draw a boundary once. "Please ask before you use my card." Mom responded, "So if your father has a heart attack, you'll let him die on the sidewalk?" I stared at the text for a long time, then typed okay because fighting her meant fighting gravity. I kept telling myself it was fine. Family was messy. Love was messy. But every deposit left me feeling more like a bank than a son. By the time Lily turned 5, I'd started locking my accounts, separating cards, setting alerts. I thought I was safe, but safety is just the illusion you have before the next request comes wrapped in pink balloons. That illusion shattered the day Sugar Cloud Events called to confirm my card number for Princess Playland Rentals. I thought it was a scam and hung up. If I'd stayed on the line 5 more seconds, I might have heard Linda's voice in the background saying, "Use the same card as last year. Ethan's got it." I didn't know it back then, but the party they were building would cost more than money. It would cost me the version of family I'd been defending my whole life. The Friday before Lily's 6th birthday, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off a charger I'd borrowed. I didn't plan to stay long, just in, out, back to quiet. But quiet has a way of vanishing when you walk into that house. The living room smelled like vanilla candles and chaos. Glitter trailed across the carpet like breadcrumbs. Chloe sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by boxes labeled Fairy Princess Dreamland Rentals. She was FaceTiming someone, holding up tiaras. "Mom, which one looks more royal?" she asked. Linda was at the table with a planner open, a pen tapping in rhythm with her control. "The silver one. Gold looks tacky. Remember, this is family only. Family only." The phrase hit me the same way a dentist drill does, sharp, familiar, impossible to ignore. "Hey," I said, trying for light. "What's all this?" Chloe spun around. "Oh my God, Ethan. Didn't Mom tell you? It's Lily's Big 6. We're going full theme, DJ unicorn rides, cotton candy wall, the works." "No," I said. "She didn't tell me." Linda barely looked up. "We didn't want to burden you, sweetheart. You work so hard. You wouldn't enjoy this chaos." Translation: you weren't invited. I stared at the boxes, each with shipping labels that hinted at big numbers. I caught a glimpse of a receipt. Sugar Cloud Events, $4,800. My pulse ticked up like a clock nearing alarm. "Looks expensive," I said. Mom smiled without warmth. "Don't worry about it. Family helps family. That line. Always that line." I left before I said something I couldn't unsay. In the car, I texted Ben. "Something's off." He replied, "You have alerts on your cards, right?" I typed, "Always." But I didn't know one card, the emergency one, still lived inside Mom's digital wallet like a ghost key. That Saturday, I spent the morning grocery shopping, thinking about making pasta, maybe catching up on work. Then my phone buzzed. First one alert, then another, then another. $1,700, Balloon Dreams. $2,400, DJ Pegasus LLC. $3,100, Sugar Cloud Events. By the time the 5th alert hit, I was already driving. The closer I got to the house, the louder the sound. It wasn't music, it was spectacle. When I turned into the driveway, the first thing I saw was the arch of pink balloons stretching over the gate. The words, Lily's Royal Day. Kids in wings ran across the lawn, faces painted, sugar smeared on their cheeks. And there was Mom Linda, queen of presentation, holding a clipboard and smiling like a celebrity host. For a second, I thought maybe I'd walked into the wrong house. Then Lily saw me. "Uncle Ethan," she screamed, barreling toward me, frosting on her fingers. I caught her, despite everything. She smelled like cake and innocence. "Hi, birthday girl," I said softly. "Did you know your uncle wasn't on the guest list?" She blinked. "Grandma said you were busy." That hurt more than the dollar signs. Linda walked over, her heels sinking slightly into the grass. "Ethan, what a surprise." Her tone suggested it wasn't a pleasant one. "You should have RSVP'd. "I didn't know there was something to RSVP to," I said. "Oh, well," she waved her hand. "It's mostly family." I looked around. Neighbors, co-workers, people I hadn't seen since high school, all smiling, eating, laughing under a tent that my credit limit was paying for. "You didn't think to call me?" Her smile didn't move. "Honey, you were included in spirit. Your card covered the rentals. Consider it a gift." For a moment, I thought I'd misheard. "My card? You said to keep one for emergencies." "This is a 6-year-old's birthday, Mom." "Exactly," she said. "Childhood is short." Chloe appeared, crown slightly crooked, phone in hand. "Don't be weird about money," she said, kissing the air near my cheek. "We'll post about you later. Number best uncle ever." I stared at her, at the DJ spinning, at the cotton candy machine pumping sugar clouds into the sky. Somewhere behind it all, I heard Ben's voice in my head. "Keep receipts." So I did what I always do. I made notes: time, charge, vendor, amount. A habit that had once made people roll their eyes now felt like armor. Dad was grilling burgers by the fence, pretending not to see. That was his gift, selective blindness. I approached him quietly. "Did you know about the card?" He didn't look up. "Your mother said you'd offered." I didn't. He flipped a burger. "Ethan, sometimes it's easier to let things slide. Pride can make a man lonely." There it was, his favorite proverb, shaped like advice but used like a weapon. "Maybe," I said, "but silence makes him invisible." He didn't reply. By late afternoon, the yard looked like a fairy tale battlefield: melted ice sculpture, popped balloons, sticky grass. I stood near the cotton candy cart, watching Chloe pose for a live stream, while Linda hovered beside her, soaking in secondhand fame. I thought about walking away again, about pretending none of it mattered. But then I looked at Lily laughing, cheeks bright with sugar, and realized that if I stayed quiet now, she'd grow up thinking this was normal, that love meant taking, and silence meant care. So I reached for my phone. I opened my banking app. The numbers glared back, red and exact. $14,200. For once, my calm felt dangerous. I hit call. When the voice answered, calm, efficient. "This is Agent Harper, how can I help you?" My own voice surprised me with how steady it was. "Hi," I said. "I'd like to report unauthorized charges." Mom's laugh from across the yard broke mid-note. She turned, smile still pinned in place. "Ethan?" she hissed. "Not here." "Here is exactly where," I said. And for the first time in my life, I didn't back down. I didn't know it then. But that moment, the call, the crowd, the silence that followed, was the hinge the whole story would swing on. The years of quiet compliance, of letting her rewrite my boundaries as family, all led to this. What they didn't realize was that I hadn't come to make a scene. I'd come to end one. When you grow up in a house where silence is a survival skill, confrontation feels like stepping onto thin ice. You test every step before you take it, praying it won't crack. But after that day, I was done tiptoeing. The ice could break. Let it. The fallout started before the confetti settled. That night, my phone lit up like an alarm system. Mom, Chloe, Dad. Group chat notifications firing faster than I could swipe them away. Mom, you embarrassed me in front of everyone. Dad, you made your mother cry. Chloe, congrats, you ruined a 6-year-old's birthday. I didn't reply. I just forwarded each message into a new folder labeled Records. Ben called around 10. "So, how bad was it?" "Public," I said, and recorded. He whistled. "Damn. You okay?" "I'm fine." I wasn't. My hands were shaking like I'd just sprinted a mile. I just didn't want to fund the circus anymore. That's not drama, man. That's That's self-defense. By morning, the neighborhood group chat had theories. Someone's aunt posted a blurry video of me slicing the credit card in half. The caption, "Uncle Meltdown." It got shared faster than I could block the links. For the next week, my parents tried every tactic in the book, and they had quite the library. First came guilt. Mom called crying, her voice a trembling symphony of disappointment. "Do you enjoy hurting me? Your father hasn't slept." "I don't enjoy any of this," I said. "Then fix it," she snapped. "Call the bank. Tell them it was a misunderstanding." "It wasn't." Silence. Then, "You'll regret humiliating us." Click. Then came gaslighting. Chloe texted, "I never used your card. Mom said you gave permission." I sent her a screenshot, her own text from 2 months ago. "Use Ethan's backup. It always works." She read it but didn't reply. A few hours later, a vendor emailed me. "Outstanding balance for 90 minutes of performance. The DJ." I replied with my standard line. "Charges were unauthorized. Please contact the contract signer." Attached was the scanned signature. Linda's loopy cursive trying to pass as mine. Next, the manipulation turned sentimental. Mom posted a long Facebook status. "What matters is love and forgiveness. Family will always find its way back." She used old photos, me at 10, Chloe at 7, smiling in matching sweaters. The comments flooded in. "Beautiful family. So proud of you, Linda." No one saw the cracks behind the filters. I didn't comment. I didn't defend myself. That silence burned hotter than any argument. But the real escalation came from inside the house from Dad. He called one evening, his voice low. "Your mother's in tears again. Because she's being held accountable? Because her own son turned on her." "I didn't turn on her. I stopped being her wallet." He sighed. "You think this is about money? It always was." He paused long enough for me to imagine him sitting in that recliner, beer sweating on the table, TV muted. "Son, pride will make a man lonely." There it was again, that proverb, now more like a curse. "Then maybe loneliness is cheaper than being stolen from," I said, and hung up. The next morning, a message appeared from an unknown number. "You don't do this to family." No name. Just that. I screenshotted it, filed it away. My spreadsheet had evolved into something more, a quiet archive of evidence. Every night, I updated it: charges, calls, screenshots, timestamps. If love was war, then documentation was armor. Ben joked. "Man, you're turning this into a true crime file." "Maybe it always was," I said. That week, I also started noticing the small, eerie signs that they hadn't let go. A login attempt on my email from Mom's iCloud address. A decline charge for Balloon Dreams, retainer. A spam call that wasn't spam, a vendor confirming payment. They were still trying. Still pulling threads that used to lead straight to me. So I started cutting threads. One by one. I called my bank again. Freeze all secondary access. I changed passwords, added 2-factor authentication, turned off add to wallet. The security rep asked, "Reason for change?" I almost laughed. Family emergency. That weekend, I went for a run, my first in months. The air felt heavy but clean. I counted my steps like data points. 10,000 decisions to keep moving. When I got back, I saw a missed call from Mom. Then another. Then Chloe. I didn't answer. But when I opened my door, something was there, an envelope taped to it, my name written in looping cursive. Inside was a photo of Lily in her birthday dress. Cheeks flushed, smile pure. Underneath, in my mother's handwriting, she's asking why her uncle doesn't love her anymore. For the first time since the party, my chest hurt. Not anger, just ache. I sat on the couch, photo in my hand, and realized this was the oldest trick, using innocence as leverage. But Lily wasn't the problem. She was the only one who ever looked at me without expecting a transaction. So I opened my laptop and wrote a note. Short, calm, factual, to Mom and Chloe. Stop using Lily to guilt me. I love her. I don't love being stolen from. If this continues, I'll file a report for identity misuse. Then I hit send. That was the moment I stopped being their son in the way they wanted, and started being something else. A boundary they couldn't cross without consequence. By the next week, the house I grew up in might as well have been a crime scene. Every conversation was an interrogation. Every silence, a verdict. Mom shifted tactics again from guilt to performance. She called and said, "Let's just have dinner. No drama. Family talk." Against my better judgment, I went. Part of me still hoped there was a version of this family that wasn't built on debt and denial. The table looked like an apology: set candles, roast chicken, napkins folded like peace flags. Chloe greeted me with a smile so bright it looked photoshopped. Mom poured wine. Dad kept his eyes on his plate. We ate in careful silence until Linda said, "You know, Ethan, your sister's had a hard week. She lost 2 brand partnerships because of what happened." I set down my fork. "Because of what she did, Mom." "Watch your tone," she said automatically. Chloe sighed, dramatic. "Do you even understand how the internet works? That video made us look crazy. Maybe don't steal next time," I said. Dad's fork clattered. "Enough." "No, Robert," Mom said, voice brittle. "He needs to see what he's done." I leaned forward. "No, Mom, you need to see what you've done." The silence that followed was thick and electric. Then Mom smiled that tight, camera-ready smile. "You always twist things, Ethan. It's why no one stays around you." Even Sophie left. That one hit. Sharp and precise. She knew where to aim. I swallowed the sting, but I didn't let her see me bleed. "Yeah," I said quietly. "She left because I was too busy cleaning up your messes." Mom's smile dropped. I stood, pushed my chair in, and said, "Next time you want to talk, use your real voice, not your Facebook one." When I reached the door, Dad muttered, "You think this makes you right?" "No," I said. "It makes me free." 2 days later, Chloe tried a new approach. Pity. She showed up at my apartment, holding a grocery bag and wearing sunglasses indoors, the influencer version of remorse. "Mom's losing sleep," she said. "Dad's blood pressure's up. You're tearing the family apart." By saying no? By making it public. I didn't post anything. "You didn't have to," she snapped. "That video went viral. People think we're scammers." "Then stop scamming." She exhaled, stepping closer. "You've always been jealous. Admit it." I laughed. "Of what? Your unpaid collabs?" Her eyes flared. "Of being loved." For a second, I almost believed her. That was her gift-making cruelty sound like confession. She left the groceries on my counter: cupcakes, wine, a peace offering shaped like sugar. When I checked the bag later, there was a receipt folded at the bottom. My name was on the card. The charge had gone through that morning. I sat down hard, the world narrowing. It wasn't just about the birthday anymore. They still had my old digital wallet saved. That night, I went nuclear quietly. I froze every account, filed an identity theft precaution notice with my bank, and called a lawyer friend for advice. He said, "If they used your info knowingly, that's a felony." "Yeah," I said, "but I'm not pressing charges." "Why not?" "Because I don't want revenge. I just want gravity to apply to everyone again." By midweek, the story had spun out of our hands. The Uncle Meltdown video hit a local parenting forum, then Reddit. Comments poured in. Good for him. Finally, someone standing up to toxic families. One user dug up vendor complaints naming Linda Miles as the signer. Mom's Facebook page went private overnight. That should have made me feel vindicated. It didn't. It just felt quiet. Then came the twist I didn't expect. An email from Sugar Cloud Events. Subject line: Case update. Inside: Your bank reversed all charges. Our legal team will pursue the original signer, Linda Miles. And below that, a forwarded note: Mom's message to them. She'd written, "He authorized everything. He's mentally unstable." I stared at those words until they blurred. Then I did something I never thought I would. I forwarded the entire chain to my HR department, just in case. Ben saw me hit send. "You good?" he asked. "Not yet," I said. "But getting there." That night, I got one last call from Dad. "You've gone too far, son." I didn't forge signatures. She's your mother. She stopped acting like it. "You'll regret this." I took a breath. Maybe. But regret's cheaper than fraud. He hung up. For the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt still, like the world had finally stopped spinning on their axis. I walked to my kitchen window. The city lights blurred in the rain. I whispered to no one, "I'm done." And I meant it. That was the week everything reset: bank accounts, passwords, loyalties. It was also the week I realized boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you finally learn how to lock. The day it all broke open started with a noise I'll never forget: the hiss of a fog machine and 100 kids screaming in unison. It was the second day of Lily's party. They'd extended it, of course they had. Because the vendors were already booked, Mom had said in a voicemail I didn't answer. I hadn't planned to go back. But when Sugar Cloud called to verify card ownership, I realized my presence wasn't optional anymore. By the time I arrived, the sun was glaring off pink tents and plastic crowns. The grass looked bruised from yesterday's chaos. Goats bleated in the corner like hungover guests. Lily spotted me first, running barefoot across the lawn. "Uncle Ethan," she shouted. I knelt to meet her. "Hey, kiddo." Her cheeks were sticky with cotton candy. "Grandma said you're mad." I smiled softly. "Not at you." "Then come eat cake," she said. "It's still your favorite." I followed her toward the dessert table, a mountain of frosting under fairy lights. Mom stood nearby in a pastel suit, clipboard in hand, her smile stretched thin. "Ethan," she said through her teeth. "What are you doing here?" "Making sure my money's safe," I said. Dad appeared behind her, jaw tight. "Don't start again." I looked at both of them. It's already started. The DJ's speakers thumped, balloons floated, kids danced. But inside me, something was going very still. I took out my phone and dialed the bank. The crowd noise dropped a notch, like the party itself was holding its breath. "Bank of America fraud line. This is Agent Harper," came the voice through the speaker. Calm, professional. "Hi," I said. "My name is Ethan Miles. I need to report multiple unauthorized charges happening right now at a private residence." Mom's smile faltered. "Ethan, stop. We can talk." I held up a hand. "Please verify the last 5 transactions," I said into the phone. Agent Harper read them off. $4,800. Princess Playland Rentals. $3,100. Sugar Cloud Events. $2,400. DJ Pegasus LLC. $1,700. Balloon Dreams. $1,800. Pets and Hooves. Each number landed like a drum beat. "Those aren't mine," I said, steady. "Card is in my possession." The DJ's music stuttered, then cut out completely. Even the goats fell silent. Mom's voice turned sharp. "You're ruining this for Lily." "No," I said quietly. "You did." The bank agent said, "We can freeze the card immediately and open a claim. Please destroy the card in your possession." Gladly. I reached across the table, picked up a pair of kitchen shears, and sliced the card clean in half. The sound was small but final, like snapping a bone. Gasps rippled through the yard. Someone whispered, "He's serious." Mom's eyes widened. "What is wrong with you?" "I'm done," I said. "Done paying for your lessons." Chloe rushed over, holding her phone, still streaming. "Babe, stop. This is so embarrassing." I turned to her camera. "Then turn it off." She didn't. Agent Harper's voice stayed calm through the speaker. "You'll receive provisional credit within 24 to 48 hours, Mr. Miles. Please note that further unauthorized use may be investigated." "Thank you," I said. Dad stepped forward, voice rising. "You think you're better than us because you make money?" "I think I'm allowed to own what I earn," I said. The event coordinator approached cautiously, clipboard in hand. "Who's the payer on file?" Mom pointed at me automatically. I shook my head. "Not anymore. Charges were placed without authorization. The claim's already open. You'll need payment from whoever signed the contract." The coordinator flipped the page. "Says G. Miles, with this number." She read it aloud. Mom froze. The number was hers. "You forged my signature," I said. Again, her face twisted. "I am your mother." "That's not a legal defense," I said evenly. Chloe's voice cracked. "You're gonna make us look broke in front of everyone." "You already did that when you stole from me." The coordinator exhaled. "All right, folks. We'll pause all services until payment is resolved." And just like that, the entire event unraveled. The music stopped. The cotton candy machine went dark, and the confetti cannon died mid-spin. Children started whining. Parents exchanged looks. The perfect fairy tale illusion deflated like the balloons above it. Mom's voice turned cold. "You'll regret humiliating us." I glanced toward Lily, who stood near the cake table, confusion clouding her small face. "I'm not humiliating anyone," I said softly. "I'm teaching you what a boundary looks like." I turned to the coordinator. "Let Lily keep the cake. She's 6. Then I looked at my family, my mother's trembling fury, my sister's hollow outrage, my father's disappointment curdled into silence. "This ends today," I said. I walked toward the gate, the cut card halves still on the napkin behind me. The wind caught one and flipped it onto the grass, a small, useless piece of plastic, gleaming under the fading sunlight. As I reached the car, my phone buzzed, with messages piling up like smoke. I didn't look. When I closed the door, the world outside muffled just my heartbeat. steady for once. I didn't feel powerful. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt aligned. After 30 years of being useful, I had finally been honest. That night, the house lights still flickered in my rearview mirror, long after I drove away. It felt like escaping a carnival after it shut down empty rides, fading laughter, trash caught in the wind. I didn't feel heroic. I felt hollow, like something inside me had finally burned out. When I got home, the silence felt too clean. I boiled pasta, burned the garlic, opened every window. I wanted the night air to scrape the party smell off me. My phone buzzed constantly, 15 missed calls, then 30. Mom, Dad, Chloe. Then unknown numbers, vendors. I poured a glass of water, sat down at my small table, and started building what I called the record. One line for every lie, every charge, every manipulation. Date, time, amount, screenshot. I turned chaos into columns because numbers didn't cry, or guilt, or twist the truth. They just told it. Then I wrote one email. Subject, boundaries. 3 paragraphs. I will not co-sign anything. I will not provide a card on file. If you attempt to use my identity again, I will file a police report. I CC'd the family group chat, the vendors who'd messaged me, and Ben, not because he needed to see it, but because witnesses make people behave. The replies came fast. Mom, you made me look like a fool. Chloe, you're ruining our reputation. Dad, you owe us an apology. I replied to none of them. At 9 p.m., a voicemail from Mrs. Patel blinked in. Dear, your mother says there was a misunderstanding. She's heartbroken. I called her back. There was a misuse of funds, I said. I handled it. She paused. Good for you, Beta. Her voice was soft, almost proud. Sometimes peace costs noise. I didn't sleep much. My brain kept replaying the yard, the crowd, the way Mom's face broke when I said boundary. Not guilt, recognition. She knew I meant it this time. By morning, my refund notification hit. $14,200 credited. I stared at it, not triumphant, just right, like gravity snapping back into place. That weekend, I built a new automation script on my laptop, a silent alarm. If my card number ever gets saved to any other device, it'll text me immediately. They won't know it, but I'll always know. They thought they'd taken my money. What they really gave me was proof, and once you have proof, you don't need revenge. You just need distance. If you've ever been the quiet one, the fixer, the peacemaker, the one who paid and got blamed, you already know how it feels to finally say no. It's not rage, it's relief. It's the sound of your own life coming back to you. So tell me where you're watching from. And hit like and subscribe if you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family. Because sometimes, the real story isn't about revenge, it's about reclaiming peace. This isn't the end. It's just the first time I stopped apologizing for existing.